Well, to start off with, Simon, what's the place been like over the last week or so after last week's result?
Oh yeah, look, obviously there's been a bit of pressure eased, and obviously the guys are getting around a little bit more happier this week. But we understand, we've still got a job to do. We're not safe yet. We've got a tough game against Saints away this week, so we need to, our focus is making sure we take the same effort and intent there as we did last week against Hull, and if we do that, we'll give ourselves a chance.
You mentioned the pressure there. What was it like, the build-up to that match, and then the feeling afterwards?
The build-up was pretty good because we had the bye. We had a couple of weeks to get ready for it, and we actually changed our tact a little bit. We went and did some activities outside of rugby league with the squad, and just to relieve a bit of tension and get the guys refocused. And we came back in, had a really good week leading into the whole game, and I thought, what we did on the training paddock transferred onto the field, which hasn't always been the case this year. So that was pleasing, and I thought we got the bye week right. The way we went about it, and I thought it was good to see that we got some rewards last Friday night.
Was that helpful then, having that extra time to prepare for what has turned out to probably be the biggest match, or one of the biggest matches of the season for you?
Oh yeah, I think it was. Like I think I've said before, after a poor performance like that, the predicament we were in and having to wait 2 weeks to our next game, that's not great. But like I said, we used that first week, I thought, really well, and we did some different things with the boys, got them together, had some fun, took our minds off footy for a few days, and like I said, we came back in on the Monday refocused, and we trained really, really well. And again, I was just pleased that the guys got the rewards, for all their effort.
From that performance, Matt Frawley in particular had a really good game. How frustrating is it that you've ended up losing him when you're looking to build on that match?
Yeah, look, it's disappointing for Frawls. I mean, it was by far and away his best game for the club, and we thought he just got a knock cork early in the game. He actually got it really early in the game, so he soldiered on. And we went to get it, it was quite swollen, went to get it drained, and they found a tear in there. So, we're hoping he'll be right for the last game, but he's definitely no good this week. But I think the medical staff are pretty hopeful that, they'll get him up for next week.
Does that kind of sum up his season, that it's been stop-start kind of all the way through, then he has one brilliant performance and it's like, you're going to have to miss next week?
Oh, well, it sums the team season up, really. I mean, we've been stop-start, we've had blokes in, we've had blokes out. We haven't really had any real consistency or continuity with our team all year, and it's been so frustrating. And, we got to the back end of the year now where performances are vital, and, we lose, Frawls, and, Murph won't play this week. I mean, if we played Murph this week, he's come back early from his syndesmosis. Murph played 80 minutes in the centres and did a fantastic job for us. And, if we played him this week, there was every chance that he wasn't going to be right for the last game either. So again, we don't really want to go to St Helens with guys half fit. We want to go with the fit squad. And like I said, just focus on our effort, and we'll see where that gets us.
You mentioned a couple of weeks ago, going back to that experienced halfback duo for the running. You've lost one of them, so it looks like it's going to be Tom Holmes that'll probably come back in. How much of an opportunity is it for somebody else to step up now?
Oh, it's another opportunity for Tom to get some experience at Super League level. I mean, he's only young. His performances have been mixed for us. I mean, he played a couple of really good games, and then a couple of games, he was a little bit off. But that's what you get from young halves, So we've tried to ease Tom and Ollie Russ, with some games, here and there. Obviously, there have been times this year where, with injury, we've had to play them more than we probably planned to at the start of the year. But again, Tom gets another opportunity this week, and we're coming up against the best team in the competition, who are full strength. So it's as good a test as any for him.
So we'll talk about St Helens in a second. From the Huddersfield perspective, what's it like knowing in just over 24 hours time you could have guaranteed Super League survival?
Look, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, 24 hours time we could be full of joy and happy and relieved and all those things. But on the other end of the scale, we could be looking at a must-win game next week. So it's a situation I'm not used to. I've never been in, so it's quite weird, to be honest. So I mean, we although we will have one eye on the KR London game, we can't be concerned with that, and we can't be focused on making sure Hull KR beat London. We've got to be focused on playing well against Saints, and if Hull KR get the job done, well, that's all for the benefit of us as well. But our focus will be on Saints, and I guess we'll have a look at the scoreline when the game's finished.
So how much will you sort of be trying to ignore the other match that's going on at Hull KR?
Oh, look, my focus will be on our game, but there'll be no doubt people around, and there'll be people keeping an eye on the score, and that we talk amongst people at the ground and whatnot. So I dare say at some stage during the game, someone will say, we'll talk about what the score is at Hull KR, but I certainly won't be going looking for it. I'll be focused on like, again, making sure we put in a good performance against the team that's probably been the standout team for a couple of years now. I mean, they're in a bit of a situation too where losing the Challenge Cup final was a bit of a shock for everyone. So they're going to want to make sure that this season's not totally lost for them. They're going to want to make sure that they finish well and they're in a grand final and they win it. So they're going to be ready to go. They've picked a full strength team, so they obviously mean business. Justin wants obviously for those guys to find some form in the last couple of rounds before the semis. So it's a game we're going to need to be really, really, really good in most areas, particularly from a defensive point of view.
How much of a surprise did that come to you that they were beaten in the Challenge Cup final?
Oh, I think it was a shock to everyone. I mean, Warrington have lost their last 6 or whatever, and I don't think Warrington weren't without a hope, but I don't think many people thought they'd beat Saints, that's for sure. But that's rugby league. I mean, Warrington turned up and they were under the pump early. I thought Saints rolled them pretty well early, but they hung in and got a couple of calls their way, Warrington, and all of a sudden they were 12-0 up. So I mean, that's Warrington were rewarded for hanging in early. I thought they were under all sorts of pressure early, but they hung in, and in the end, they the longer they hung in, the more errors Saints made. So full credit to Warrington.
How much of a blueprint is that for you guys, and not just that game, but last week, which was incredibly low scoring? I think there's only been 3 or 4 matches in Super League history that low scoring. That's the way to play, try and frustrate them. Yeah,
look, we played them. Although the scoreline didn't suggest, but the first time we played them, we really, it was really close for 50 minutes, and they got away with 2 or 3 late tries. Challenge Cup, we played them and they beat us. They had to revert to kicks to score tries against us, so we defended really well that day too. And I think, they made 14 or 16 errors against us that day too. So they're definitely a team you need to take the game to them defensively. You can't sit back and wait for them. They're too good a team, and you got to try and dictate to them as opposed to them dictate to us. And I think the third time we played them there, we were a very young team and we were never in the game then. But the 2 performances before that, we were in those games. So we could take a bit of confidence out of that. And look, all we can do is go and have 17 guys put in a good effort, and we'll see where that gets us.
Just the last thing on relegation, you mentioned a couple of minutes ago that it's a completely new thing for you, because it doesn't exist down under. What are your thoughts on the whole thing, on promotion, relegation?
Oh, look, I like it. I mean, look, we all start the year knowing that if you finish at the bottom, you're going down. So it gives teams below opportunities to come up too. So I like the idea. Don't like it when we're in the predicament of being in one of the teams that can go down, but that's part and parcel of it. But I like it. I like how it's set up. I like the fact that teams are rewarded, and if teams don't aim up, they need to go back. So I don't mind the structure at all.
On the NRL as well, there's been a few rumours, a few things written the last couple of weeks about you potentially moving back down there for a job. What can you tell us about that?
Oh no. Look. Obviously, if the Giants go down, we're all out of a job. So obviously, if that was to happen, I I was going back to Australia, there's no doubt about that. But, you know, at the moment, my focus is staying in Super League and finishing the job that I've come here to do. I mean, I'm only 12 months into a pretty big job. I know there's a lot of work to do here on and off the field. So our first focus is to make sure we're safe, and then, you know, I'll be cracking on with getting prepared for next year. I mean, there are a lot of things in place, all on the proviso we're safe in Super League. So once we're guaranteed Super League status, we can get on with making sure we're better next year. So that's what my focus is.
What's that insecurity like for you then, and your family, that knowing if the club doesn't stay up, then it's complete change for you?
Yeah, look, and that's everyone. Like everyone, you know, we've got 20 or 30 players there that livelihoods are, you know, on the line. So we all know that. We know that at the start of the year what the consequences are if we end up going down to our championship. So, you know, it's something I've been aware of for a long time. So, you know, obviously this part of the year being in that bracket of possible of going down, it's not nice for anyone, but it is what it is. That's what we've all signed up for, and we've got to make sure we get the job finished over the next 2 weeks.
Well, hopefully we'll be talking to you next season.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Cheers.